If your child or grandchild has ADHD, studying with them can get difficult, especially with all the distractions in the house these days. So now we welcome clinical psychologist Dr. Sharon Saline, who has 6 essential study tips for creating the proper work environment. Doctor, thank you for being here. Appreciate having you.
Thanks for having me, Danny. Great to be here.
I like you because you are someone who really cares. I can tell this is something that you've been thinking about your whole life. You have family members with ADHD, so this is something that you live and breathe, and you will give them, everyone, everything you've got.
I do, and I will.
Perfect. Now, your first tip I'm very intrigued by. You're talking about collaborating and how if there's no buy-in, there's no cooperation. What does that mean?
Well, one of the challenges for kids with ADHD is they spend a lot of time listening to what they're doing wrong from other people. And they actually have ideas. In my new book, What Your ADHD Child Wishes You Knew, I interviewed dozens of kids with ADHD and parents. And what I learned is that kids do better when they have a say in the plan that's being created for them. So before you start anything that has to do with homework, there needs to be a conversation where you sit down, the adult, the caregiver, the parent, whoever that is, and the child or teen with ADHD, and lay out what your ideas are and what the program's going to be together. Then that child is more invested than if you sit down and tell them what they're going to do. Particularly for kids with ADHD, because they want to have a say, because they spend so much time hearing negative comments about what they should do and shouldn't do.
Now, I think when you're at the drawing board to begin that sort of process to figure out how you're going to do this, the goals are probably the most important part of the brainstorming process.
Yes, and those goals need to be collaborative as well. So I always encourage parents to start asking their child, what would you like to see for yourself this year? What are some of the things that worked well last year that you want to continue? And what are some things that you would like to change for this year?
They never thought of it like that. They always thought, oh, I have to do this. They're making me do this.
Exactly.
Not I want to do this because it's good for me.
Right. And so they think about what their goals are, and then you can state some of your goals, which may actually overlap with some of the goals of the child or teen. And then together you can sort of say, okay, we've identified 3 goals. We're going to pick one. Because really, Danny, how many things can a person change at one time?
Not many.
One.
We're all goldfish.
We can only, exactly, we can only work on one thing at a time. So that's what I really notice happens in a lot of families, is that they have their child trying to change a number of behaviors and there's not success. Work on one thing that's really your focus.
Now, the next point is about making sure you establish the right studying place, have a specific spot for that. Why is that important for our brains?
Because for kids with ADHD who are often challenged with organization and who struggle sometimes with where things are and how to sit down and what the routine is, you want to establish a routine. This is where we study, this is where things go. And then they know what to expect. And when they know what to expect, it's easier to follow through on that.
Now, we got about a minute left, but I want to speed through these last 3 points, make sure we get, we promised 6, we're going to give you 6. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
So the next one's about establishing breaks and incentives in your study periods.
Right. So it's important that you do the homework first and get the reward after. Don't allow your kids to have computer or screen before they do their work. Work for a period, take a little bit of a break in something that you've decided in advance is okay, that together, and then do another piece of work. And when that's done, then you can have the reward. And that reward can be something that you also have created together, that you approve of and they want to do.
Now, the next one is about picking an order for doing homework that'll give them an initial sense of completion. What is an initial sense of completion?
Well, because you want to feel good about what you're doing. Some kids like to start with something easy and feel like, I got that, right?
I got one thing over with.
I got one thing over with.
Give them a checklist.
Exactly. I'm going on to the harder thing. Some kids actually like to do the hardest thing first when they're freshest, and then they get that over with, and they're like, whew, I don't have to dread that really tough thing. What's left for me is fairly easy. So in general, it's hard or easy first, and then you figure out where you want to go from there. But you work on that together based on what they think helps them get going.
And the last point, unfortunately we're out of time, but it is about aiming for consistency, not perfection. I think that is to establish a routine.
Right. Well, you want to notice the efforts that these kids are making. As I said before, they receive so much negativity. So you notice their efforts and you aim for consistent efforts, not necessarily consistent achievement.
Well, Dr. Saline, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate having you. I hope it's very helpful for everyone watching at home.
Thank you for having me,
I'm sure it was.